The night sky over Earth was full of light, not from stars, but from ships. They came like a silent tide, thousands of dark shapes gliding through the black, their engines dim to hide their numbers. To most people on the ground, they looked like falling stars. To the governments watching from orbit, they looked like an invasion, but they were not here to conquer. They came to beg. The first message was short and clear. "We are not your enemy. We seek shelter. Please hear us." No one believed it at first. After decades of quiet space travel, humanity had finally met another species, and they arrived in numbers large enough to blot out the moon. Every radar screen on the planet went red. The world's defense networks woke up in seconds. Orbital cannons turned toward the newcomers. Every space fleet scrambled. But before a single missile launched, a second message arrived. A transmission in hundreds of human languages, clear and desperate. "Our worlds are gone. Our children are dying. We ask only for a place to rest." For hours, the ships held position, silent and still. No weapons powered up, no fighters launched. The tension was thick enough to crush a heartbeat. Then, one ship, a small one, broke formation. It drifted toward Earth, shields down, weapons offline. On board were 7 alien beings, tall and pale, wrapped in silver suits that glowed faintly with blue light. They were tired, thin, and weak. One carried what looked like a child wrapped in a sheet of glass. The child did not move. When the ship landed in the Nevada desert, humans surrounded it with tanks, drones, and soldiers. For a long time, nobody spoke. The aliens simply stood there, hands raised, their faces unreadable. Then one of them took a step forward and whispered something through a translator. "Please, we are dying." That moment was broadcast to the entire world. In the following days, the truth began to unfold. They called themselves the Rendari. Their home system had been destroyed, first by a solar flare, then by war. They had fought for survival across the void for decades. What was left of their people drifted among dead worlds and burned ships, until at last they found Earth. The Rendari were not advanced conquerors, as humanity had feared. Their technology was old, worn down, powered by desperation more than genius. They had once been proud builders, artists, and explorers. But now they were refugees. Humanity faced a choice: turn them away and risk a tragedy, or open the gates of the planet to strangers who might one day rise again with unknown intentions. The world's leaders argued for weeks. The public demanded compassion. Protests filled the streets, both for and against. Then, after much debate, the decision came. Earth would offer them shelter. Not on the planet's surface, not yet, but on the moon. Humanity would build them a home there, where they could live and recover, under watch, but not in cages. And so, the greatest project in history began. At first, there was hope. The Rendari worked side by side with human engineers. They shared what little knowledge they had left, and in return, humans gave them tools, food, and air. They began building vast dome cities across the lunar plains, white arcs of glass and steel glowing against the darkness. They called it New Haven. From space, it looked like a second Earth rising. But as the years passed, unease grew. Not everyone trusted the aliens. Rumors spread about Rendari ships seen leaving orbit without permission, about strange signals in the asteroid belt, about human ships vanishing near their colonies. The media called it the Quiet War, a cold conflict fought not with weapons but with fear. Then came the incident. A Rendari mining ship exploded near Mars, scattering debris across the orbit. The humans said it was sabotage. The Rendari said it was an accident. Each side blamed the other. In response, humanity began building fleets again. Warships designed not for conquest, but for defense. The moon became a fortress. Now, 20 years later, humanity and the Rendari live in uneasy peace. The cities on the moon glow brighter than ever, surrounded by orbiting warships that never sleep. From space, it looks like beauty guarded by steel. The Rendari have survived. They are grateful, most of them. But among their young, born on lunar soil, there is restlessness. They ask why their people must live behind walls of human guns. They wonder if shelter was just another kind of cage, And somewhere deep beneath the moon's surface, in a hidden chamber lit by blue fire, the Rendari scientists work on something new. Something secret. Something that hums with power not seen since their homeworld burned. They do not call it a weapon, but the humans orbiting above will soon learn. Otherwise, 20 years had passed since the Rendari came to Earth's sky begging for mercy. The moon was no longer silent. Its gray plains now glittered with light, domes, towers, and shining roads that stretched across the darkness. Humanity called it the Haven Project, but most people simply said the Moon City. From Earth, it looked beautiful. From the inside, it felt watched. The Rendari lived under glass skies. Above their cities, human warships drifted like metal clouds, always moving, always armed. They said the ships were there for protection. But everyone knew who they were really protecting. The humans below, not the aliens above. The Rendari tried to rebuild their lives. They grew food in hydrodomes, taught their children old songs, and filled the dark tunnels beneath the lunar dust with soft blue light. They worked beside human engineers and scientists, building habitats and mining stations. But the trust that had begun in kindness had grown thin. On Earth, news channels still replayed the old footage, the day the Rendari fleet had first appeared in orbit. Some called them survivors. Others still called them a threat. Every human government wanted a say in what the Rendari could or couldn't build. Every shipment they received from Earth was scanned, counted, and approved, and still, whispers spread. There were stories of Rendari scientists working late in the underground labs, building machines that didn't appear on any human record. Rumors that their children could breathe thinner air, move faster, and survive longer without food. The young ones were different, born on the moon, shaped by its gravity and silence. They were not refugees anymore. They were something new. In the lunar capital, Orion, the human governor, Admiral Jonas Keller, looked out from his office window at the bright domes below. He was a tired man, his face lined by both age and the weight of duty. "They look peaceful," said Commander Lee, his aide. Keller didn't answer. He watched a line of Rendari children walking across the plaza, carrying crystal-like tablets that glowed in their hands. They laughed, small silver eyes catching the light. "Peace," Keller said quietly, "is easy to see from far away." That same night, deep under the domes, a young Rendari woman named Tessa walked through a corridor of humming pipes. She was 20 in human years, though her people aged differently. Her skin glowed faintly blue in the low light, and her hair shimmered like glass fibers. She carried a sealed box, small but heavy. She paused when she reached a metal door marked, "Authorized Personnel Only." She pressed her palm to the scanner. The door opened with a sigh. Inside was a chamber filled with humming machines and drifting sparks of light. Several Rendari scientists turned as she entered. Their faces were tense, their voices low. "Did anyone see you?" one asked. "No," Tessa said. "The patrols don't come this deep anymore." The scientist nodded. "Good. Then we continue." Tessa placed the box on the table and opened it. Inside was a glowing shard, something alive, something pulsing. The light spread across the room, reflecting in their eyes. "This was all we saved from our homeworld," one of the elders whispered. "The last piece of the heart engine." Tessa looked at the shard with both awe and fear. "If the humans find out we still have it—" "They won't," the elder said. "They think we're rebuilding farms, but this is what will give us freedom again." Meanwhile, up in orbit, the human fleet watched everything. Captain Elise Monroe sat in the command chair of the Warship Horizon's Edge, staring at the holographic map of the moon. Every Rendari structure, tunnel, and transport was marked in red. Her job was simple: guard the refugees and make sure they stayed refugees. But lately, something felt wrong. Patrol drones were disappearing near the dark side. Communication signals were being jammed. It was small, subtle, but it was enough to make her uneasy. She opened a channel to Earth Command. "Admiral Keller, this is Captain Monroe. I think the Rendari are hiding something beneath the southern dome." Keller's voice came back, low and tired. "You think, Captain, or you know?" "I don't have proof yet. But if I send in a recon team, we could—" "No," Keller said sharply. Last thing we need is another panic. Keep your ships in orbit. Watch them, but don't engage. Monroe's jaw tightened. Sir, if they're building something dangerous, if they are, Keller interrupted, then we'll be ready. Humanity always is. Back on the moon, Tessa looked up through the dome at the warships glowing in the distance. To her, they looked like stars, cold, bright, and unreachable. Her people had once sailed among stars like those. They had once believed the universe was home. Now they lived in glass rooms, while humans floated above, guarding them with guns. She clenched her hand into a fist. We asked them for shelter, she whispered. But they built us a cage. The elder beside her placed a hand on her shoulder. Then let us build our own key. And deep within the lunar tunnels, the heart engine pulsed brighter, like a heartbeat ready to awaken. Pulsed brighter, like a heartbeat ready to awaken. The moon had grown louder, not with voices, but with vibrations. Machines deep underground hummed with strange rhythm. In some places, tools shook off tables. Dust drifted down from metal ceilings. The humans said it was just a tremor, normal after 2 decades of drilling. But on the lower levels of Orion, the Rendari knew better. The heart engine was waking up. Tessa stood before the crystal chamber again, her eyes wide in the blue glow. The shard had grown brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. Around it, coils of energy swirled like silver smoke, rising into the air before fading into nothing. It's alive, she whispered. The elder scientist nodded, his thin face full of pride and worry. It was always alive. Our ancestors built it from living matter, a fusion of technology and biology. It powered entire worlds once. But what if the humans see the energy readings? Tessa asked. Their satellites will notice. The elder's eyes turned toward the glowing shard. Then we must finish before they come. In orbit above, Captain Elise Monroe didn't need new readings. She already had them. Her ship's sensors had been tracking strange power spikes under the Rendari city for days. Each pulse was stronger than the last. It wasn't mining. It wasn't life support. It was something else. Monroe stared at the map projected in front of her. The pattern looked like a heartbeat, slow, steady, growing louder. She called Admiral Keller. Sir, she said, I've confirmed it. There's a massive energy surge coming from the Rendari district, too organized to be natural. I request permission to send a probe. Keller's voice came back over the channel, heavy with hesitation. Do it quietly. No human presence near their city. I don't want this turning into a public incident. Yes, sir. Monroe cut the line and turned to her crew. Launch the probe. Deep scan, thermal, and seismic. Let's see what our friends are hiding down there. The probe left the ship like a spark, falling toward the moon's dark side. It entered orbit, deployed thrusters, and began its descent. Inside the Rendari tunnels, alarms flickered to life for just a moment, one flicker too short to notice by most. But Tessa noticed. She had learned to feel changes in the walls. In the quiet hum of their machines, something was coming. She turned to the elder. They're scanning us. He sighed, closing his eyes. Then the time has come. We cannot hide the heart engine any longer. What will we do? We will finish what we started. Hours later, the Rendari gathered in the lowest chamber, hundreds of them, standing in the blue glow of the core. Some wore work uniforms. Others, robes of shimmering fiber. The elder stepped forward and placed his hand on the crystal shard. Our ancestors made this to give life to dying worlds, he said softly, but now we use it for our own survival. Humanity gave us shelter, yes, but they keep us under watch behind their walls and guns. If they will not trust us to live free, then we must make freedom ourselves. The crystal pulsed faster. The walls around them vibrated. Lights flickered. Tessa felt the ground tremble beneath her feet. Are you sure this will work? She asked. No, the elder said. But we must try. He pressed both hands to the core. Energy burst through the chamber, filling it with light. The machines around them whirred to life, connecting cables and glowing plates. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, the heart engine breathed. A wave of pure light spread outward through the tunnels, flowing like water. The Rendari gasped as their bodies tingled with energy. Their suits flickered. Their implants came alive. Above, on the human ships, alarms screamed. Captain Monroe stood from her chair as the holographic map turned red. "What the hell is that?" she shouted. "Massive energy discharge under Orion, Captain. It's spreading fast." "Is it a weapon?" "We don't know." "Lock the fleet on defensive pattern Gamma. I want every ship on alert." On the moon, the light from the heart engine rose through the surface. It shimmered like a wave under the dust, spreading across the domes and towers. Humans on the surface looked up in awe and fear as the ground beneath them glowed with blue veins. Then, as suddenly as it began, the light vanished. The silence that followed was almost holy. Tessa opened her eyes. Around her, the Rendari stood still, breathing hard. The elder looked at his trembling hands. "It worked," he whispered. "The engine has accepted the moon," Tessa frowned. "Accepted? The heart engine binds with worlds. It makes them alive. The moon is no longer just rock, it's connected now. It listens." She didn't fully understand, but she felt something strange, a pulse beneath her feet, like the moon itself was awake. Back on the horizon's edge, Captain Monroe stared at the readings. "All systems stable," her officer reported. "The energy wave has stopped." "Radiation minimal." "Minimal?" Monroe repeated. "You call this minimal? Half our sensors just reset." The officer hesitated. "But, Captain, there's something else. The moon's magnetic field, it just changed." "Changed how?" "It's generating one." Monroe froze. "That's impossible." "The moon doesn't have a—" "It does now." Down below, the Rendari cheered quietly in the shadows of their glowing tunnels. For the first time in decades, they felt safe, protected by something stronger than walls or ships. But as Tessa looked toward the sky, where human warships circled above, she knew the peace wouldn't last. "They'll see this as a threat," she said. The elder nodded sadly. "They already do." The moon pulsed once more, faint but clear, like a living heart beating in the dark, and the humans listening from orbit could hear it too. The moon had never looked brighter. From Earth, people could see faint blue veins glowing across its surface like cracks of light under stone. Scientists called it an unexplained phenomenon. Governments called it a possible threat. But the soldiers in orbit had another name for it, a warning. Captain Elise Monroe had not slept for 2 days. Her ship, Horizon's Edge, drifted above the moon like a silent guardian. Below, the Rendari cities glowed in unnatural light, and the data from the last scan made no sense. "Magnetic field generation is holding steady," said her science officer. "The whole moon is behaving like a living reactor. Energy output still rising." "Any sign of weapons?" Monroe asked. "None yet." "But if this continues, they could power a whole fleet with what they've built down there." Monroe crossed her arms. "Or destroy one." The silence in the bridge was heavy. Everyone had seen the footage, the light wave, the power surge, the sudden pulse that had rattled every ship in orbit. It hadn't attacked anyone. But it could have. And that was enough to make Earth nervous. On the surface, in the glowing city of Orion, Tessa stood on a balcony, watching the sky. The human ships still circled above like metal hawks. She could feel their eyes, sensors, scanners, constant suspicion. "The humans are afraid," said the elder beside her. Tessa didn't look away. "They think we're planning war." The elder gave a weary smile. "Then perhaps they should ask why they keep aiming guns at people who only wanted a home." She turned toward him. "You said the heart engine connects to the moon. What does that mean for us?" "It means," he said softly, "that we are no longer just guests. The moon listens to us now. It breathes with us. It can protect us if we learn how to speak to it." Tessa frowned. "Protect us? How?" He didn't answer, but the blue light reflecting in his eyes said enough. Far above, Admiral Jonas Keller arrived on Horizon's Edge. His shuttle touched down on the docking bay, surrounded by armed guards. Monroe met him at the airlock, her face pale with exhaustion. "Admiral," she said, saluting. "We've been monitoring their activity. No sign of aggression yet, but the energy pattern's spreading faster every hour." Keller nodded grimly. "Then we're running out of time." Earth Command wants containment. If that energy expands beyond lunar orbit, it could disrupt communication systems planet-wide. Containment? Monroe repeated. Sir, there's civilians down there. He looked her straight in the eye. Not civilians. Not anymore. They've activated something we don't understand. And if history has taught us anything, it's that humanity can't afford to hope it's safe. Monroe hesitated. Are you ordering an attack? Not yet. But prepare the fleet. If that pulse grows again, we strike. In the Rendari tunnels, the heart engine pulsed stronger. Its light reached through the walls, into the soil, into the very metal of the human-built structures above. Machines powered by solar cells suddenly began to glow. Even old Earth-made circuits came alive with strange energy. Tessa walked through the lower levels, her hand brushing the walls. She felt the hum travel through her skin, warm, gentle, alive. It's not a weapon, she whispered. It's protecting us. The elder appeared beside her, hearing the words. Yes, it is creating a shield, an invisible field that bends energy and light. The human scanners will soon fail to see us clearly. But that will only make them more afraid, Tessa said. The elder's face hardened. Then they will attack. And when they do, we must survive. Back in orbit, Monroe watched as her ship's radar flickered. Captain, her technician said, we're losing visuals on the Rendari sectors. The scanners are being jammed. Jammed how? Not electronically, it's like the moon itself is interfering. The readings are bouncing off the surface like waves hitting water. Monroe clenched her fists. They're hiding something down there. Keller entered the bridge. We can't wait any longer. Prepare the strike teams. Monroe turned sharply. Sir, this isn't right. They haven't fired a shot. And yet they've built a machine that could erase us if they choose to, Keller said coldly. They said they wanted shelter, not power. You've seen the data? Tell me, does that look like shelter to you? Monroe said nothing. The blue light of the moon reflected off her visor. Cold and calm, the Rendari saw the human ships move before the first order was given. Dozens of warships shifted formation, forming attack lines above Orion. The people in the city stopped to watch as the sky filled with motion. The children asked questions no one wanted to answer. Tessa stood in the plaza, her heart pounding. They're coming, she said. The elder nodded. Then the engine will protect us. How? Watch. He raised his hands toward the sky. Beneath them, the moon's surface rippled with faint light, like water stirred by wind. The ground trembled. The blue glow surged upward, wrapping the city in a shimmering sphere of energy. When the first human missiles hit, they simply vanished, absorbed, scattered like dust in sunlight. The shield held, from orbit. Captain Monroe watched in shock. Impact confirmed. But no damage. The shield absorbed everything. Keller's voice was cold. Then hit them harder. More missiles launched. More light filled the dark. And still the Rendari shield stood firm. On the surface, Tessa stared up at the glowing sky. It's fighting for us, she whispered. No, said the elder softly. It's defending us. The moon remembers who it belongs to now. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it ended, the human fleet drifted back into high orbit, silent and uncertain. Admiral Keller looked out the window, jaw tight. So they built a shield. Fine. But no shield lasts forever. Monroe said nothing. She kept her eyes on the glowing world below. They didn't attack us, she said quietly. We attacked them. Keller didn't answer. The silence said enough. Down on the moon, the Rendari celebrated. But Tessa did not. She stood on the ridge above Orion, watching the stars fade behind the blue haze. We won today, she said softly. But they'll never stop being afraid of us, the elder nodded. Then perhaps one day they must learn fear is not the only thing that protects. Behind them, the heart engine pulsed again, steady, strong, alive. The moon's heartbeat grew louder, and far above, humanity listened, preparing for what would come next. The battle had ended, but the silence that followed was worse. For 3 days, no ship moved. No signal passed between the moon and the human fleet above. The Rendari shield shimmered faintly, a ghost blue veil over the lunar surface. Beneath it, the cities glowed like hearts still beating after the storm, and high above, humanity waited, watchful, afraid, and uncertain. Captain Elise Monroe stood on the bridge of Horizon's Edge, staring at the shimmering blue curve below. Her crew worked quietly, their voices hushed, as if they were afraid to speak too loudly near something alive. "Status on their shield?" she asked. Her officer replied, "Holding steady. Power levels are constant. It's not growing, but it's not fading either. So they're stable." "Yes, ma'am." Monroe exhaled slowly. "Then maybe they don't want a war." A voice came from behind her. "That's not how Earth Command sees it." Admiral Keller entered the bridge, his uniform neat despite the long hours. His face was drawn, tired, but his eyes were hard. "Admiral," Monroe said, "if we attack again, it could break the treaty. What's left of it?" Keller didn't answer right away. He walked to the window and looked down at the moon. "You saw what they did, Captain. That shield didn't just stop our missiles, it erased them. No fragments. No energy traces gone," Monroe nodded. "Yes, sir. But they didn't strike back." He turned to her. "Not yet." Down on the moon, Tessa stood at the base of the heart engine chamber. The crystal pulsed gently, softer now, its glow spreading warmth across the metal walls. Around her, Rendari engineers monitored readouts that no human could read. "Full of shapes and light instead of numbers. The humans haven't attacked again," she said. The elder scientist, weary but calm, nodded. "They are confused. They don't know whether to fear us or learn from us." Tessa looked up, as if she could see through the rock to the ships above. "Then maybe it's time we talk to them." The elder's face darkened. "Talk? After what they did? After they bombed us while calling it containment?" Tessa's voice was quiet but steady. "If we don't speak, this will never end. The heart engine didn't save us just so we could live behind another wall." He studied her for a long moment. Then he sighed. "You sound like someone who still believes in mercy." "I sound," Tessa said, "like someone who's tired of being afraid." Hours later, a human relay satellite in lunar orbit picked up a signal, one unlike any other. It was not encrypted, not hidden. It came from the Rendari Capitol Dome. "Clear and deliberate." "Audio message incoming," Monroe's technician said. "Play it," Monroe ordered. The voice that filled the ship was soft, echoing, and strangely musical. "This is Tessa of the Rendari. We seek to speak with humanity. We do not wish for blood or fire. We came to your world asking for shelter, not chains. The heart engine is not a weapon. It is a living system. It binds the moon to life, not death, but it will defend itself if attacked again. Please, listen before you destroy what you fear." The bridge went silent. Even the hum of the ship felt smaller. Monroe leaned forward. "Open a channel to reply," but Keller was already shaking his head. "No, we can't respond." "Why not?" Monroe demanded. "Because acknowledging them means recognizing the engine as legitimate. It means giving them control of lunar territory," Monroe frowned. "And if we ignore them?" "Then we wait." "See if they make a mistake," Monroe's voice dropped. "And if they don't?" Keller's reply was cold. "Then we'll make one for them." On the moon, Tessa waited. No reply came. She paced the control room, hands clasped tightly. "They heard us," she said. "I know they did." One of her fellow engineers looked up from the console. "Perhaps they do not wish to understand." Tessa stopped. "Then we'll make them understand." She turned toward the heart engine, the light of it reflecting in her eyes. If words can't cross the distance, maybe something else can. Hours later, the Horizon's Edge picked up another anomaly, this time from the shield itself. "Captain," the technician said, "the Rendari energy field is changing. It's broadcasting something." "Broadcasting?" Monroe asked. "To what?" "Everything. The signal is wide spectrum. Audio, visual, quantum pulse. It's using our own communication network." Monroe frowned. "Patch it through." The screen in front of her flickered, then filled with images, not of war, but of the Rendari homeworld, oceans boiling under red skies. Cities turned to glass, ships leaving in flames, and finally a fleet of broken survivors drifting toward a blue planet, Earth. A voice spoke over the images. "We did not come to conquer. We came because we had nowhere left to go. The heart engine is not a weapon, it is memory. It carries the voice of our dead, the pulse of our world. When you attacked us, it protected us as it was made to do. But it will not strike. It will not kill. We only ask for peace." On the bridge, no one spoke. Monroe felt something tighten in her chest. "They're showing us the truth," she whispered. Keller's jaw clenched. "Or a story, designed to make us lower our guard." But Monroe wasn't listening anymore. She watched as the transmission ended with a single image. A Rendari child standing beneath the glowing moon, looking up at a sky filled with human ships. The screen went dark. For the first time since the refugees had arrived, humanity hesitated. The fleet stayed in orbit, silent. Orders from Earth Command slowed, filled with debate. Was this manipulation or mercy? And down below, Tessa stood beside the elder, her face pale but determined. "They didn't respond," he said quietly. "They will," Tessa replied. "The truth always finds a way across the void." The moon had gone quiet again. After Tessa's broadcast, no words came back from Earth or the fleet above. The Rendari waited beneath their glowing domes, their lives caught between hope and dread. The blue veins that spread across the lunar soil had dimmed, pulsing only faintly now, like a heart too tired to beat. But fear did not fade. It grew. On the warship Horizon's edge, Captain Elise Monroe stood in the observation deck, watching the shielded moon below. The stars reflected off her visor like cold fire. Behind her, the sound of boots echoed across the floor. "Still watching them, Captain?" came Admiral Keller's voice. Monroe turned slightly. "They haven't moved in days. No launches, no signals, just silence." Keller stepped beside her, hands clasped behind his back. "Silence doesn't mean peace. It means they're planning something." She frowned. "Or maybe they're waiting for us to answer." He gave a dry laugh. "Answer to what?" "Their lies. You saw what that thing did. It rewrote the moon's structure, turned it into something alive. That isn't peace, Captain. That's a weapon waiting to evolve." Monroe looked at him carefully. "And what if it isn't?" Keller's jaw tightened. "Then we'll destroy it anyway, before it decides what it wants to be." In the Rendari capital, Tessa walked through quiet streets lit by faint blue light. The people were restless. Children whispered of the warships still circling above. Traders refused to open shops. Even the air recyclers hummed louder, as if the moon itself felt the tension. She entered the heart chamber. The elder was there, sitting before the crystal core, eyes closed. "They haven't replied," she said. He nodded. "Humans fear what they don't understand, and they understand very little. Fear what they don't understand, and they understand very little." Tessa stepped closer to the glowing crystal. "The engine feels weaker." "Yes," the elder said softly. "It listens to emotion. The fear in this city, it drains the life from it." Tessa touched the smooth surface of the heart engine. It pulsed faintly under her hand, like a small heartbeat beneath stone. "Then maybe we need to show them hope instead of fear." The elder opened one silver eye. "You would go to them?" She hesitated. "Someone has to. If they won't come down, I'll go up." On Horizon's edge, Admiral Keller stood before the main view screen as new data appeared. "Signal detected," the technician said. "Single craft leaving the Rendari dome. Small, unarmed, lock weapons," Keller ordered. Monroe turned sharply. "Sir, it's just one ship. A transport. Let's see what they want." "You think this is diplomacy?" "It's bait. Then let me take the bait." Monroe's voice was firm. "If we destroy every gesture of peace, we'll never know if one was real." Keller glared at her, but after a moment he nodded. "You have 1 hour. If that ship makes a wrong move, we end it." Tessa's ship was little more than a shuttle, built from human parts and Rendari design, a symbol of both worlds. As it rose from the moon's surface, she looked down through the viewport. The cities were tiny glowing circles now, wrapped in the blue shell of their shield. Above her, a wall of metal ships filled the sky. Her voice trembled as she opened the channel. "This is Tessa of the Rendari. I come unarmed. I seek only to speak." Static filled the line for several seconds. Then a calm voice answered, "This is Captain Monroe of the United Earth Fleet. You are entering restricted space. State your intentions." "I already have," Tessa said. "We want peace." "Not war," Monroe hesitated. "You risked your life for that?" "Yes, because silence kills faster than any weapon." Monroe almost smiled. You sound like someone who doesn't understand humans very well. Maybe I understand too well, Tessa said quietly. You protect what you love. So do we. Admiral Keller listened from the bridge, face pale with anger. She's manipulating you, he said. Don't let her charm you, Captain. Cut the transmission. Monroe didn't respond. Tessa's voice continued through the static. The heart engine isn't a weapon. It's a shield. It reacts to harm. When you attacked, it defended us. But if you stop, it will sleep again. You don't need to fear it, Monroe replied. And what happens if we trust you and we're wrong? Tessa looked out the viewport at the human warships. Then you'll destroy us. But if you're wrong, you'll destroy something beautiful. Before Monroe could reply, alarms screamed across the bridge. Admiral! Shouted a crewman. Unauthorized launch. Earth Command has fired a kinetic strike. Keller's eyes widened. They didn't wait for my order. Impact in 10 seconds! The view outside flared as 3 massive rods of metal streaked toward the moon, burning like falling stars. Monroe shouted, "Get her out of there!" But Tessa's small shuttle was already turning, diving toward the surface. The heart engine awoke. Blue light erupted from the moon's surface, spreading like fire beneath the dust. The shield expanded, wider and stronger than before, swallowing the incoming weapons. The sky turned to lightning. In the center of it all, Tessa's ship vanished into the glow. Monroe's heart froze. We lost her signal. When the light faded, the moon was silent again. No explosions, no fire. Just a faint hum through every sensor, like the sound of a heartbeat. Down below, in the heart chamber, Tessa opened her eyes. She was lying on the cold metal floor, alive. The elder knelt beside her, his face full of awe. The engine saved you, he whispered. It recognized you. Tessa looked at the crystal, now glowing brighter than ever. It didn't just save me, she said softly. It saved them. The attack never hit. It turned their weapon away, the elder smiled faintly. Then maybe it still believes in mercy, too. In orbit, Keller stared at the readouts. Their shield absorbed a kinetic strike. That's impossible, Monroe whispered. Not impossible, just not human. He turned to her sharply. You think this proves they're peaceful? No, she said. It proves they could have destroyed us and chose not to. For the first time, Keller had no answer. And as the blue light spread again across the moon's surface, soft and steady the earth below began to glow faintly in return, its magnetic field resonating with the lunar pulse. Something ancient and powerful had begun to awaken between the two worlds, and neither side understood what it meant yet. The glow between Earth and the moon lasted for 7 days. At first, scientists thought it was a reflection, sunlight caught in lunar dust. But when compasses on Earth began to drift and satellites started humming with strange harmonics, humanity realized something deeper was happening. The moon was no longer silent. It was speaking, and Earth was answering. Captain Elise Monroe had barely left the bridge of Horizon's Edge. Her crew worked in silence, afraid to disturb the delicate calm outside. The sensors displayed impossible data. Gravitational fluctuations, electromagnetic pulses, a faint resonance linking the moon to Earth's magnetic field. Captain, said her science officer. Voice trembling. If this continues, the two fields might synchronize. It's like the moon and Earth are connecting. Monroe nodded slowly. Or remembering each other. Admiral Keller stood behind her, staring at the screen. His once steady hands now shook slightly. What are they doing down there, Captain? What have they unleashed? Monroe didn't look away from the glow. Something we can't control, Admiral. Maybe something we're not meant to. In the heart chamber, Tessa stood before the crystal core. It pulsed faster now, its rhythm syncing with something larger, something distant yet close. She could feel it, not in her ears but in her chest. The elder scientist approached her. His voice was barely a whisper. The engine has reached its final phase. It is not just connecting the moon, it is connecting us. Tessa frowned. Us? The Renderi. The humans, the planets themselves. The heart engine was never only about survival, it was creation. It makes homes where none exist. Tessa looked up, eyes wide. It's binding us together. Yes, the elder said. But the question is, will we let it? On Earth, chaos unfolded. Power grids flickered. Tides shifted unpredictably. The global network pulsed with ghost signals, and for the first time, humanity realized that every attempt to destroy the Rendari might now damage their own world. Still, fear ruled faster than reason. Earth Command sent new orders to the fleet: disable the heart engine at any cost. When Monroe received the transmission, her heart sank. "If we attack again," she said, "the backlash could destroy both worlds." Keller stood silent for a long time. He looked older than he had days ago, his voice breaking as he finally spoke. "I've spent my life defending humanity, but if we strike now, maybe we won't have a humanity left to defend." He looked at her. "Captain, what would you do?" Monroe turned toward the glowing moon. "I'd listen." She opened a secure channel, one not approved by Earth Command. "Tessa," she said softly, "this is Captain Monroe. I don't know if you can hear me, but we need to talk." "What is the heart engine really doing?" Static filled the line. Then faintly a reply. "It's connecting us, Elise. It's building balance. The moon and Earth will no longer drift apart. Life will flow between them. It's making us one system, one home." Monroe's voice trembled. "And if we stop it, then both will suffer. The engine will defend itself and everything tied to it, including your world." Keller closed his eyes. "Then that's it. If we attack, we die. If we don't, we change." Monroe nodded. "Maybe that's the point. Maybe the engine wasn't built to save one species. It was built to make sure no species ever stands alone." He looked at her, the weight of decades of command in his eyes. "I never wanted to be the man who fired first. Maybe I don't have to be the one who fires last either." He walked to the console and deactivated the targeting systems. Across the fleet, weapons powered down, lights dimming one by one. For the first time since the Rendari's arrival, the sky above the moon was clear of human threat. Down below, Tessa felt the tension lift like a long-held breath. The heart engine glowed brighter, its light expanding until it filled every dome, every tunnel, every shadowed corner of Rendari life. Then, without warning, the light reached beyond the moon, spreading through the void like a wave of silver-blue radiance. On Earth, the same light touched the atmosphere, shimmering across oceans and cities. For a brief moment, both worlds shared one heartbeat. Every human and every Rendari, awake or asleep, felt it, an invisible pulse of peace, and then silence. The heart engine dimmed, its glow fading to a calm, steady hum. The moon's shield lowered. The world did not shake. The stars did not fall. Only stillness remained. Hours later, communications resumed. A transmission reached Earth Command, jointly signed by Admiral Keller and Captain Monroe. It read only, "The heart engine has chosen peace. We should do the same." Weeks passed. The Rendari cities opened their domes to human visitors for the first time. Scientists from both species worked side by side, studying the strange link between their worlds. Children played under shared skies, one of dust and one of air, both glowing faintly with the same blue pulse. The fear that had once defined humanity's defense began to fade, replaced by something quieter, stronger. Understanding. Tessa stood on the surface of the moon, looking up at Earth. Its blue light shone brighter than she remembered. Beside her stood Monroe, her helmet reflecting the same glow. "So," Monroe said, her voice calm through the comms, "what happens now?" "What happens now?" Tessa smiled faintly. "Now? We build, together. The engine didn't just make us neighbors, it made us family." Monroe looked at the Earth, then at the moon beneath her boots. "Maybe for once," she said softly, "we asked for shelter and learned how to share a home." And far beneath them, deep in the lunar core, the heart engine pulsed once more. Not as a weapon, not as a shield, but as a promise that when the stars grew cold and the worlds grew quiet, life would always find a way to come together again. The moon slept peacefully that night, and humanity, for the first time in centuries, dreamed of peace. Peace never truly lasts. It only changes shape. 50 years had passed since the heart engine united Earth and the moon. The two worlds no longer drifted apart. They moved in perfect rhythm, bound by invisible tides of shared life. Humanity and the Rendari had grown together, building ships powered by hybrid energy, cities that shone with both blue and gold, and a new civilization that reached beyond the old fears. They called it the Union, but even peace has a heartbeat, and sometimes it skips. Tessa was gone, her name spoken in history books, her image carved into both lunar stone and Earth's marble. But her legacy lived in the next generation, children born under two skies, speaking two tongues, carrying two kinds of blood. One of them was Lyra Monroe, Captain Elise Monroe's granddaughter. She stood aboard the Solace, a new-class exploration ship built jointly by human and Rendari engineers. Her skin had a faint luminescent sheen, a gift from her Rendari lineage, and her voice carried the calm strength of her grandmother. "Course locked," said her pilot. "Destination, the far verge. Deep space beyond the old colonies." Lyra smiled. "Let's see what the universe looks like when it's not trying to kill us." But fate was listening. 3 days into their journey, the Solace detected something impossible, an object moving through deep space at near-light speed, older than any known civilization, broadcasting a single repeating signal. It wasn't human. It wasn't Rendari, it was older, much older. The message was simple, translated by their hybrid systems into words that chilled every crew member aboard. "We heard your heartbeat," Lyra frowned. "What does that mean?" Her communications officer whispered, "Captain, the frequency matches the heart engine." The bridge went silent. Back on the moon, deep beneath the domes of Orion, the heart chamber stirred. The once quiet crystal began to glow again, brighter than it had in decades. Scientists rushed to monitor the readings, their faces pale as the numbers climbed higher than ever before. "The engine is responding to something," one of them said. "Something far beyond our system. Can we stop it?" asked another. "No," came the quiet reply. "It's listening." And then, for the first time since Tessa's awakening, the heart engine spoke, not in words. In song, a low harmonic tone filled every speaker, every device, every mind tuned to the network that linked Earth and Moon. Across both worlds, people paused, hearing a hum that wasn't sound, but feeling. A message without language. It said, "They are coming." Lyra's ship reached the outer edge of the solar system when the stars changed. A cluster of faint lights appeared where no stars should be, slowly moving, gliding toward the system like a swarm. The ship's sensors strained to track them. "Size?" Lyra asked. "Unknown," the pilot said. "Some are larger than cities. Signals?" "Nothing clear, but the pattern matches. The Rendari distress code. Old, like pre-Exodus era." Lyra felt a chill. "That's impossible. Those ships were lost centuries ago." But on the main screen, the truth came into focus. Vast shapes drifted through space, ships built in the Rendari style, but twisted and blackened, their hulls cracked by time and fire. And among them moved others, stranger still, machines shaped like shadows, built from metal that absorbed light. Lyra whispered, "They aren't all ours." The comms crackled. A distorted voice echoed through. "We heard your call. You made a home, but not for us." The bridge lights dimmed. Systems flickered. "You left us in the dark. Now we bring the dark to you." Panic rippled through the Solace. "Defensive shields up," Lyra shouted. "Send an alert to Earth Command. Tell them we found something that remembers the old wars." But as the crew scrambled, a sudden pulse of blue light erupted from the heart engine back home, an echo so powerful it reached them even across billions of kilometers. Every human and Rendari ship felt it at once. The heart engine had woken fully, and this time it wasn't just defending. It was calling. On Earth, the skies shimmered with auroras never seen before, blue and white, wrapping the planet in veils of light. On the moon, the soil trembled, humming like a living drum. The same signal that had united the two worlds now spread outward, past Mars, past Jupiter, past the edges of known space. Admiral Keller's monument in the lunar capital bore new words, carved by unseen hands. The home we made is not the last. Others will come. Lyra's crew watched in awe as the swarm of ships slowed. The black vessels, those that were not Rendari, began to vibrate, their dark hulls cracking under the wave of light that filled the system. "The engine's energy," said the science officer. "It's cleansing them." Lyra stared, speechless. "You mean saving them?" "Maybe both," the officer whispered. The stars calmed again. The swarm drifted in silence. Some ships powered down, others turned away, their dark shapes fading back into the void. But one ship remained, a massive ancient vessel, half broken, half beautiful. It broadcast a final message before vanishing into the deep. "The light of home reaches far. Do not let it fade." Weeks later, the Solace returned to the moon. The heart engine was quiet once more, its glow soft and steady. Lyra stood before it, feeling its hum beneath her hands. "Was that the end?" she asked quietly. A young Rendari scientist beside her shook his head. "No, that was the beginning. The universe knows we are here now." Lyra smiled faintly. "Then we'd better make it worth hearing." Far beyond sight, in the deep dark between stars, something vast stirred. Something older than life itself, awakened by a heartbeat shared between two worlds. And in that silence, a new song began to echo, soft, distant, and full of promise. The heart engine had reached beyond survival, beyond shelter, beyond fear. It had done what humanity and the Rendari once dreamed of. It had built a home among the stars, a home among the stars.